Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm Simona Costantini, blogger, storyteller, and life enthusiast. Each week, I will bring you an idea, guest, or positive thought to help inspire you to create happiness and live on purpose. We decide the stories we tell ourselves and where we choose to invest our energy. It's time to cultivate a positive mind for a positive, more meaningful life. I'm so grateful you popped in. Now let's get started. Here we are again, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because it's so good and it's so close to my heart. You know I love your feedback about what you want to hear, how you're enjoying the episodes and the show overall, and all that great stuff. So this episode is inspired from a friend of mine who wanted to hear about what a healthy relationship looks like. For me, there are so many different things that make up healthy relationships. Relationships can mean so many different things and look so different to everyone, but really kind of live in three separate categories: with yourself, with a significant other, and with family or friends. I'm grouping family and friends together because for all intents and purposes, they kind of just go hand in hand. Because I think the relationship you have with yourself is so important, and that should be no surprise if you've been listening to the other episodes, let's start there. So your relationship with yourself is one of the hardest to define because so many people struggle with that relationship and struggle to define it. We also live in a world and a society that decides what beauty looks like, what's attractive, and is always pushing us to want and have more. What's sad in this situation is that we already have so much and are so much that we forget to be grateful for all of it. Three things that come up for me around having a good relationship with yourself are self-care, self-talk, and acceptance. Self-care is caring for yourself physically, mentally, doing that activity you want to do, going to the gym, eating properly, eating a balanced diet, sleeping enough, drinking enough water, having a shower, washing your hair, meditating. You know, all of these things fall under self-care and can easily be integrated in your daily life. I used to always sit and watch endless amounts of Netflix as soon as I got home, mostly to numb my brain from all the stuff that I did that day. And really, this is the worst thing that you can do, and it makes you extremely disengaged with your life, with your reality, and with yourself. And you realize eventually that you deserve more, happiness, more fulfillment. And the best place to start is right here, the basics, and begin incorporating these little things on a daily basis. Self-talk is how we speak about ourselves and how we speak about others. What we say about ourselves to other people or to our own selves in our heads is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves or what we're insecure about. The more negatively we talk about ourselves, the more negative our thoughts become, and it feels like this never-ending cycle of negativity. Do not let yourself do this to yourself. Change the story that you're telling yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, you won't talk nicely about yourself, so how could you ever expect to speak nicely about other people? Whether you realize it or not, your mind has a massive influence on how you show up every single day and what you say about the people around you. Negativity promotes negativity, and so it kind of becomes this vicious cycle. I was listening to the Judgment Detox audiobook by Gabby Bernstein, and it was actually recommended to me from a friend that I met on a retreat. And if you haven't listened to it and you're stuck in a place, you really should. Throughout the book, Gabby goes into all these different steps and techniques that she has, but she has these mantras or prayers or whatever you want to call them for releasing judgment and poor thoughts that are so helpful in building positive thoughts and stories with yourself. So this one in particular is, I forgive this thought and I choose again. I love this so much because it gives you a moment to pause and reflect and choose a new thought while letting go of the old one and bringing you back to a neutral place. It's such an easy line to remember and has almost an immediate effect once you start using it. If that one doesn't resonate with you, another thing you could say is, I release this thought and I choose again. Literally, whatever version resonates with you more, use that one, and you'll start to see how quickly you can pause and reassess your thoughts and choose again. Acceptance is making room for you and all that you are. It means accepting your imperfections, your insecurities, and all the things that you love about yourself. It means being okay with the things that people might not like about you and showing up as your best self every single day. This is one of the hardest parts because we always look to other people to give us approval on who or how we are. Full acceptance can only come once you consciously choose for it to happen, which is so important, you guys. It's hard work, but it's not an impossible place to get to, and it's so rewarding once you do. The relationships we have with ourselves influences the relationships we have with other people. For example, your significant other. There are 6 core values that I think are fundamental in a healthy, lasting relationship. For the purposes of right now, I've kind of grouped them all together so that it's easier to sort of digest, but they're all values that can stand on their own. The first group is respect, honesty, and trust. So respect really flows through every part of your relationship. It's in the way you speak to each other, the ideas each person has, the decisions they make, and understanding their boundaries. Respect is like the core principle because without it, we have nothing, you guys. Being understanding and respecting why someone else does or says or thinks things differently than you is the basis of respect. When you think of honesty and trust, they kind of go hand in hand together because you can't really have one without the other. They're kind of like best friends. If you want honesty from another person, you have to let go and trust them, trust what they're saying to you, and trust that they will prove it through their actions. And if you want trust from a person, you have to let down your walls and be honest in your thoughts and in your feelings and in your actions. So do you see how they kind of really work together and how you can't really have one without the other? Because if you have one without the other, then you kind of have a breakdown in this process, and that really won't leave anyone feeling good. The second group is being a team and compromising. So to compromise, means respecting the other person. It's knowing that you may not get everything that you want and you're okay with it because it makes the other person happy. Compromise works both ways. So if your partner compromises on one thing, you can compromise on the other. And it's kind of like a give and a take all the time. Which leads right into being a team, which is also super important. You either work together towards the same goal or you work apart towards separate goals. I think Steve, who is my fiance for anyone who might not know, I think Steve and I are a great team. Because where one of us lacks, the other one picks it up no problem. So, if one of us is working late, the other is making dinner, we share, all of our household responsibilities, and we really have each other's backs. We both have our separate goals, but we work together on achieving them and are very supportive of what it is the other person wants. For example, he plays a massive role in me being able to achieve all that I can, just like I play a massive role for him. For example, if I need to sit here and record a podcast, he's able to take the dog out for a walk. It's really a give and a take, you guys. It's not always about helping each other do stuff. It can also sometimes just be about recognizing that one of us needs space right now to be able to create what it is we want. Again, this comes back to respecting what it is each other wants. I think we all know that it would be very hard to have any of this without communication. When you can listen to the person without judging or wanting to cut them off and say your piece, I feel like you've kind of got this all figured out. This takes practice though, and is something that I practice every single day. I love to talk, and so sometimes I find that I'm constantly interjecting, but then I'm taking away from the person who's speaking. So how can we have good communication if I'm constantly trying to talk over said person? It's also about being able to talk about anything. So being able to talk about your day, what's bugging you, what makes you happy, what's making you sad, or for Steve and I, bouncing ideas off each other for the content that we create and the goals that we have. Communication is key, and it's really about listening, accepting feedback, and being engaged and present in what the other person is talking to you about. This also goes for friendships as well. Communication is key in friendships, especially when we get so busy with our day-to-day lives, our kids, our jobs, our other plans. It's easy for our friends and families to feel left out or feel like we don't care anymore. With really good, honest communication, you can avoid this. Maybe not entirely, but you can avoid this. And I'll be honest, this is something that I struggle with all the time and something that I'm working on because I'm not always the first person to pick up the phone and check on my friends. I'm grateful though to have my friends and for all their support and understanding and love that they've given to me, because all of that has also contributed to all of the successes that I've seen, just like some of the things that I do would contribute to the successes that they see. Sometimes life gets really busy, but it's not an excuse to forget about the people who love us and help build us up. I was always told when I was younger that, eventually, Simona, when you grow up, you'll see your group of friends is going to be smaller. You're going to have a tight-knit group of friends. And this was so mind-blowing to me because I was always surrounded by so many different people and so many different friends. And that happened, but the best part is I have like 5 really close friends, and I truly wouldn't have it any other way. Even though they're not all close by, they're all still there, and our relationships are so strong because we put in an effort to communicate. Put your energy into people who love you, the people who support you, and the people who encourage you. We also want friends who are trustworthy, so being that trustworthy friend is so important. Supporting your friends and receiving support from your friends defines a healthy relationship. This, along with no judgment and lots of forgiveness, add to healthy friendships. But also, don't hang on to friendships that are better left in the past. Oftentimes, we know when this is coming because we can feel it. And sometimes in order to grow, we have to leave people we once loved behind, and that's okay, you guys. It sucks and it hurts, but it's where you're supposed to grow, especially if someone isn't serving you anymore. In all of this, though, always stay true to who you are. Be the kind of person you would want to be friends with or be in a relationship with, and strengthen that relationship with yourself because it will help you become that person. Okay, you guys, I feel like this was so much good information today. I feel like, these topics don't really get discussed often enough, and we always beat ourselves up for all the things that we think we should be doing, when really we have all of the information that we need right at our fingertips. So I hope this has resonated with you and that you feel more inspired to love yourself, to love your families, to love your friends, your partners, whoever. And I'm wishing you a fabulous week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope these words have brought you inspiration, insight, and a bit more happiness. Please leave a comment or review if this episode resonates with you. I would be so grateful. Until next time, remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.